Welcome back to the Phoenix College Athletic Podcast. This is Coach Cameron. This is episode 21, and this is Dr. Lee Hancock, who is a performance psychology coach and a program creator that works with athletes, coaches, and educators, students, parents, and organizations, and other high-level performers. Lee earned his master's and PhD from ASU and is a tenured professor in kinesiology at Dominguez Hills. He has had a private practice for over 20 years where he's worked with everyone from Olympic to professional to youth athletes and from classroom teachers and students to parents of awesome kids. Lee is also an international recognized speaker and author. Most importantly, he is a dad of 3 high-energy, competitive, caring boys. Each time Lee engages with a person or a group, the goal is always the same: to help them be more prepared to perform their best when it counts. This is Dr. Lee Hancock, and he's on with us today on episode 21. So let's welcome Dr. Lee Hancock to the show. Dr. Lee Hancock, welcome to the Phoenix College Athletic Podcast. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Good. Hey, I know it was difficult to get you on the show. Mainly, it was my doing, and you're traveling, but no, we appreciate having you on. We just want to talk about Dr. Lee Hancock. I'll call you Lee from here on out. If that's okay.
That sounds like a good idea. That makes me a little more comfortable calling you.
So for the ones that don't know, Lee played soccer at Phoenix College with me in 1994. So 94
I think
or 95?
95. Well, I guess 94. Yeah, that fall of 94, because the World Cup, I think, was that summer. And
oh yeah. So
yeah.
tell us the listeners, how did you end up at Phoenix College?
Yeah, I mean, that was an odd circumstance. I was in Tucson, and I was coaching, and I was playing for the USISL team there. And
Tucson Amigos?
The Tucson Amigos back in the day, which is, I guess, the first incarnation of FC Tucson.
Right.
And playing in men's leagues and, just going about my business as a local Tucson kid that, didn't quite have his act together in terms of grades and focus to go somewhere and play. I think like a lot of kids, honestly, back in the day that I played with. I had a friend who was coaching up here. And he's like, hey, do you want to come up and play in junior college? And I'm like, I already went to junior college for a couple of years and never played at the one in Tucson, Pima. And I said, sure, I'd be happy to. So that was it. I had a friend who was coaching up there, and I went backwards and went back to junior college after I was at the U of A and went up there. And honestly, it was a really pivotal experience for me, because it was when I left home, really, because I was in Tucson. I was not living at home at the time, but, to get out of Tucson and get all the way up to the big city of Phoenix, Arizona, was quite a change, and it was very difficult. I didn't have any money, and we didn't have any money anyway, so I was living on the floor at my friend's studio apartment. Remember Augie?
Augie, yep.
And I was living on his floor, and I really didn't have a place to go. And actually, I lived with the head coach at the time for like a month before I went to Augie's house, because I didn't have any place to live. Right. So I was kind of in and out of my car, which is insane.
Jeez.
But yeah, that was it.
So what would be your fondest memories of Phoenix College? You were just there for a year, right?
Yeah, excuse me. I was there for one semester.
Okay.
And I was older than most of you guys.
Right.
I was probably, I guess, in 94, I was probably 22, I guess, right? So when anybody wanted beer, they would just ask me to go buy them beer. Hypothetically speaking. Gosh, honestly, I guess as I reflect on it, it was the grind. I had this really old Cutlass car with I don't know if you remember it or not, I had no hubcaps. the ceiling was coming down, so I had magnets holding like the felt ceiling up. Did you remember that
Yeah.
car or not?
No, I've been in that car. No, I
Dude,
remember.
like that thing, man. Yeah, so I think it was the grind, and just that daily kind of push to be in school and play. And at that time I was playing because I loved it. I was playing, and I didn't see any other school opportunities after that. I got recruited a little bit, but I didn't again have my act together to go and pursue those. But um, yeah, I think it was the grind and the guys. Really good group of good players. Got some good players in that group, and obviously you were one of them. And just that grind and the enjoyment of yeah of the players. I think that was it.
Yeah, that was a fun year because I mean, it was kind of scary coming to Phoenix College at the time because I think they won like 2 games
Absolutely.
ever, and
Yeah.
so we had to really make an impact, and we had a lot of Tucson players that came up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I think too. I mean, there was a couple junior colleges that had communicated with me, and one of them was the one up north where most kids would go. And I didn't even consider it. But yeah, the Phoenix one was an interesting um, piece because yeah, we really had to make our name then. We've done an amazing job of building that program up over the last X amount of years, but yeah, no, it was not a glory destination at that point. At that point, you're coming in and trying to create something. And I think that first year, those first couple of years, well beyond me, really, laid the groundwork for what is now an amazing program. Wouldn't you say?
yeah, no, 1994 was the first year it got moving, and we were nationally ranked. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the only problem was getting through Yavapai.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, that was the only one stopping us.
I remember that game when we went up there and we lost.
That,
And really, we could have won that game. I don't think we played our best.
yeah.
I don't know if that was a playoff game or just kind of a pivotal game in the season. I don't remember.
Yeah, we played them in the championship game,
Okay.
and played them 3 times that year. But they were special. I mean, they would
They were.
have. We had what 15 on the roster. It seemed. I mean,
Mm.
we didn't have like they would sub like 8 at a time, and nothing
I didn't
nothing would
remember that.
change. Nothing would change, and they
Yeah,
were extremely talented.
they were.
And
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure, for
they
sure.
had
Yeah,
future World Cup players on that team, and
they were very enjoyable days for me as I reflect back on them. Because quite honestly, again, as I reflect back, those early days of going to junior colleges really provided me a foundation for um, to grit and grind, and
yeah,
to really know what it means to not have much and to be trying to work your tail off to get somewhere, even though that somewhere is someplace you can't even imagine. And as I reflect on those days, and I do what I do now, those were great days to go. This is what it means. You think you've got it difficult? I've been there too.
right.
Uh, yeah,
And it has to be important to go through that process and go through that learning curve of being an athlete, and
yeah,
transitioning to what you do now. So after Phoenix College, where'd you end up your academic career?
yeah. So after that, I went to, excuse me, I stayed up in Phoenix and I moved to Tempe and I went to ASU and finished my 4 year degree there. And I was playing still for the Tucson team.
Right,
So I would travel to Tucson to train, or we had a number of Phoenix guys in that Tucson team because that's when Louis Dabo started
right,
coaching that group, and guys like Pablo and Evan and some of these other very talented players up in Phoenix. We kind of meshed the groups, and so yeah, I stayed up there and finished at ASU my 4 year degree and started coaching at the time, and that's kind of where I found my groove and what I really wanted to do, which was coach and continue on with my education. So after my 4 year degree, which took me I think 7 years, which is not what you're supposed to do, but whatever. I stayed up there and then got into a very competitive master's program, and that's really when I started to go, well, gosh, I'm not going to be a player, because I think I tried out for the Sand Sharks, and I tried out for the outdoor. There was another outdoor team then at the time. I don't even remember. And I was kind of right on the cusp. Maybe if I would have grinded, I would have kind of moved on. But I kind of was like, well, I'm kind of right in that place where I'm not going to make much money here. And so I stayed and decided that, I'm going to stay up here and do my school.
Right.
Yeah. So that was it.
So you've finished your master's in what?
Yeah, so my master's work was in kinesiology with an emphasis in sports psychology, and that transition from bachelor's to master's was not seamless, because my bachelor's program I had a very low GPA, again because I was just kind of not focused and not really dialed into what I wanted to do. But again, what college did a great job of was set the tone for what it means to work and to grind through some difficult times. And so between bachelor's and master's, it was probably 3 years of classwork to get my grades up, and getting denied to what at the time was the number 1 or number 2 program in the country in sports psych. And so I had to take that 3 years and not only grind, but turn out quality and really understand what it meant to work hard. And so, yeah, I got into that program, and it was a 2-year program, and it was an amazing program, sports psych. And then I continued on there into my PhD program, which was an interdisciplinary PhD in education and kinesiology, really with an emphasis on creating programs and being a practical sports psych person. But also what it did ultimately was give me a very unique background in coaching and player development, both at the professional level and youth level, which I've been then able to turn into not only a career in academia, because I'm a professor at Cal State Dominguez Hills now, but also just in terms of like being a better coach for little kids and for pro athletes, and creating programs that help them as human beings.
So your faculty at Dominguez Hills, you're tenured?
I am tenured, and
so you can get fired? Is that how that works?
As I have said jokingly, for the most part, I think I can probably commit a couple of different crimes and still have my job. I don't know which ones those are. I don't want to tempt fate. Yeah, tenure is one of those things that is a big responsibility in my mind. Oh boy, you want to pause that?
Sure. How's that?
Yeah, it's the trash bin guy.
Oh.
I had to take this call in my garage because everybody else is working.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Garage space. So if you give it about 1 minute.
1 minute? All right, I'm going to pause it. All right, we're back. So, Lee, let's talk a little bit about your time at being faculty. What are you teaching at your school at Dominguez Hills?
I teach sports psych, but let me answer I teach sports psych and I teach pedagogy, but let me answer the tenure question.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it's an important one for college students to understand. Getting tenure means basically you've gone through the probationary hire process, because when you get hired, you're a probationary hire for 7 or 8 years, which means they can essentially fire you after the year, right? They have to give you probably a couple years notice, but then you're almost tainted goods when you go another place, right? So it's a tough process to go through. I got tenure. I had a bit of a battle with a couple professors, but I did what I needed to do and got through. But tenure is a big responsibility, because I think when I hear high school teachers get it, or I hear college teachers get it, and then they just kind of, they lax on their teaching. That is so unethical, right? What tenure should provide is an opportunity for you to have a little bit more freedom and flexibility in what you say and do. It's a bit of an antiquated thing, right? Because basically tenure can mean I can do whatever I want. I just have to show up. But that, again, is a big responsibility on the professor, right? And I take that to heart. It's like I don't do that. In fact, I know I've gotten better at my teaching because it means something to me. I've gotten better in my writing because it means something to me. So again, that tenure question is an interesting one. But yeah, tenure is awesome. I can't get fired.
Yeah.
So yeah, I teach future physical therapists and occupational therapists, as well as physical education teachers and coaches. So they're in the kines department at Cal State Dominguez Hills, and I teach sports psychology. So basically, how they would put the concepts that you would learn in exercise and sports psych into practice, and so I'm very practical, as well as pedagogy. So teaching teachers how to teach or teaching coaches how to coach, and so I have that background, and yeah, I really enjoy the Dominguez Hills student population because I feel like it's the exact population I grew up with. It's this population that I went to school with in terms of like Phoenix College and Pima and kind of those early years, where it's a lot of really bright students that kind of are finding their way, you know, and the demographic is very similar to the one I went to school with. And so, yeah, I really love where I am. And I love kind of, yeah, that group of kids that I have, because they're working class
Right.
and they're working their tails off. They're not getting their $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month stipend from mom and dad. They're working and going to school. So yeah, love it.
So with your really your pursuit or your journey with really trying to understand performance psychology, that's
Yeah,
kind of a secondary thing you do. You're actually uh, you go consult. Uh,
right.
and I ran into you in LA when I scheduled to be part of your class at the U.S. Soccer convention. Um,
Yeah,
and I had a chance to hear you speak, and it was I didn't know you were all over the place, working with national teams and different programs. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do beyond faculty? What's your extracurricular um, work that you do that help other communities?
yeah. So I have my own consulting company and have for about 15 years, and it's been steady. Busy and I do everything from create programs for youth athletes, like educating parents or coaches or even youth athletes on sports psych and how they can kind of put it into practice. So I've done that for pro teams. Um, to creating high school programs. I created the LA Galaxy's high school program for them. To working with individual pros and NHL players, NCAA players, MLS players, to Olympians. I do a lot with beach volleyball because it's local, which is great because I don't have to travel a lot. I've got 3 sons. They're not young anymore; they're teenagers, but to be home for them is really important for me. And so, yeah, I've been able to do a lot of stuff locally. Like I travel with the Olympians. Heading into an Olympic cycle is a good amount of travel. So Rio 4 years ago, and then now with 2021, not 2020 anymore. Um, it's ramping up again next year, hopefully. Um, but yeah. So it really, it's educating people on the mental side of the game, or working with athletes on how they can improve their performance. Yeah, but I've also done some really just unique projects. Prepping NCAA guys for the Wonderlic test, which is the IQ
Yeah.
test. Just yeah, really kind of unique projects, and I've just been very fortunate to be around some great coaches and teachers that have helped me create, kind of set the foundations to be able to create these programs. But yeah, totally fun stuff, and I've coached.
Right.
So all stuff I love doing.
So are you going to be in Japan this next summer if everything works out?
Yeah, I think it'll be. That was the plan last year, and the plan is to be, because that group kind of ends their qualification. I work with the #1 team in the world right now, so we'll hopefully prep to do well in Tokyo. And it was a good lead up stuff, and we had 3 or 4 kind of trips planned, and obviously the world shut down, and so basically I think the plan is to pop that into 2021, vaccine willing. But I think even then, Japan is doing a lot of work to ensure. Obviously, they've got their act together over there,
Right.
getting stuff under control. But getting stuff ready for the athletes. How many fans will be there? I'm not sure. Maybe
Right.
it's a modified NBA bubble type of thing. But yeah, go there and hopefully do well. And the plan would be to win a gold medal. So we'll see.
Well, there's potentially going to be 2 Phoenix College alumni that'll be
Cool.
participating in the Olympics. One in Ira Brown, who played basketball at Phoenix College, and he's on the 3x3 national team.
Cool.
And so he plays for Japan. He's a dual citizen. So he went and played professional basketball there, married a Japanese girl, and he became a dual citizen, learned the language and everything.
Awesome.
And he actually went from Phoenix College to Gonzaga, professional everywhere. And then obviously Jessica McDonald, we're hoping she can make the team again. And so potentially two athletes, and hopefully things normalize a bit. And I'm planning on being up there as well if we're going to have Phoenix College athlete there. I'm going to go podcast live from Japan. That's the goal.
Awesome. That'd be amazing. Well,
yeah.
I mean, I'll be there. And, the thing about those games, which I think a lot of people don't understand, is there is a ton of downtime. It's like when you're prepping, you're there for 2 weeks. And then, so it's, you train and then you're off for the day.
Right.
So then we got meetings and stuff like that, but it's not much. And then you compete every couple of days. And so there's a lot of downtime. And that's really managing downtime is as critical as managing performance, right? Because when you're bored, this thing can get in your way or be on your team. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. A lot of walks. There's a lot of walks.
Yeah, and that's what, looking back through my career, what affected me as far as my ability to be better than I was, it was always me inside my head. Not preparing or, not having the focus and just, all the things we do that we wish we had proper guidance, an understanding of how that works. Having said that, I would like some free information from you right now. What would you recommend to athletes that can help with their performance that they can do on their
own? Your age? Those kids, I mean, not you, your students?
19, 20, 21.
Yeah. I think at 17 through 20-ish, I think I pretty much knew everything. And my biggest advice would be to take advice, and really open your ears and your eyes and your mind. And there are a lot of young men and women that were probably just better at that anyway than I was then, so maybe that's just a me problem. But I think be there and be willing to take advice. I also think it's understand that it's not easy, and it takes a lot of work and, different, not just hard work, smart work. And looking at people that have come before you and how they do that work is a really important place to look for information. So not only listen to your coaches and those types of folks in terms of listening and opening your mind, but also looking at other athletes and finding out what they do, because I think kids think that they were working hard when in all actuality, they're not. They may be physically working hard, but that's not what it takes to be great. You got to get your nutrition right? You've got to get your body right, which means lifting and taking care of your body, taking time off. And sometimes that takes looking at somebody in front of you and going, God, what are they doing? And finding that example and going, gosh, I need to pattern myself off of him or her. The locker rooms that I've been in that really have been successful are the ones where the leaders lead by example, not just words, and they show the younger athletes, hey, this is what I'm doing, and watch this. And then the younger athletes going, I see what you're doing, and let me pattern myself off of that. So that would be quite honestly the biggest thing is finding those folks, and then within what those folks are doing, it's they'll see that, and so that be willing to accept guidance and look around for that at 17 through 20, those younger athletes, but also then just watching what those folks do and going, I need to do that.
Yeah, it's I always try to get my athletes that I'm dealing with, even at this given time, is I'm trying to work on their nutrition and their work ethic, and trying to get them to give up things now because we have a whole year now to prepare for the following season because we're getting granted a free year basically. And every time I have a conversation with them, I'm like, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? They're like, no, we got time. I'm like, no, you don't have time. Changing your habits takes forever.
I mean, isn't that the truth? And I got that later on, but I would have played at a much higher level. I would have played for longer if I would have just understood some things. But again, that's now that's what I can take into my coaching and teaching, as you do as well. And I think that's the other thing is I'm always impressed by coaches who are able to look at their situation and go, yeah, I've got to improve. I should have improved here, and now I can take this into my coaching and teaching.
Well, you brought up some interesting points into my next question, which was what suggestions you would have for coaches. And how you answered the last question, you mentioned, leadership and importance of, having someone to emulate. And looking back to all the Phoenix College teams I've coached, I probably had about 5 teams that had enough talent to win nationals. Hands down, no problem. But my most successful team was the 2013 team. Maybe not the most talented, but they were the most successful. The first team ever win conference outright, host championship game in Phoenix, which has never been done ever by any Maricopa team on the men's side. And that team was full of leaders, leaders and those who would follow, or just be examples. But I had a strong leader. And he was a leader among men, and he's still a leader today. He just was a born leader. And he wasn't the best player, and he would he wouldn't start all the games. He was just impact. He was actually a football player, and he played college football. He played club soccer too, and I convinced him to come back to soccer after he played 2 years of football at PC. But he inspired that team. He was able to take over the team for me where, players don't want to talk to coaches, or they don't want to listen to coaches, but they'll listen to their peers. Can you kind of, talk about that a little bit, or any other suggestions you would have for coaches on team building and creating that environment?
My coaches is players will play for a coach if he or she knows that you care about them. And look, I've been around a lot of coaches who were really good at setting up a team and getting the tactics right. But if you knew that coach for lack of better terminology, gave a shit about you and was, checking up on you as a human being, those are always the ones that truly make an impact. And also, I think, get the most out of the athlete, right? So putting in the time to get a sense of who that person is and what he or she might be struggling with, and then kind of working through that, and then moving in the tactics and things like this, I think really sets the tone for for getting the most out of a player. So that would be my 2 cents on that. Yeah, I mean, it's simple as that. I mean, easier said than done, but not, I guess.
No, it's funny you say that. Have you seen the movie Forever Strong?
No.
You need to watch it. True story about the winningest coach in America.
Okay. Cool.
I'll send it to you. It's a good movie too. It's a rugby coach from Utah. He won like 27 national titles.
Oh wow.
Only lost, I think, a total of like 7 games in his history of coaching. Cool. And he did exactly what you mentioned. He didn't really coach. He literally interviewed his players one-on-one. That's it. He let his assistants do the coaching, and he just interviewed them, see how they're doing, and making sure they're doing the right thing.
As my boys are playing, and my older one's a U17, and the sophomore, he'll be looking at colleges next year. He's a good player, good grades. He'll go somewhere. He'll have some choices, I think. And my thing, as I've poked at the colleges, because quite honestly, I don't know a lot about Division I men's soccer. No, I just don't. I should know more. In terms of like what the quality, the top 10, it's easy. Right. you could rattle that off. But what I do know are who some of the better coaches are, and I know who I would want my son to be around for 4 years. If my twins, my 13-year-old twins, want to pursue that route as well, I want them to be around a coach who really cares about them, and puts that time into them, as well as all the other factors that go there. But because these kids think they're going to play soccer somewhere, what they're doing is they're going to go live somewhere for 4 years, and
Yeah.
that's just a really important piece. And I want somebody to look out for them, as they transition into being a young man, into a human being, a man who's going to be out there running his life, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, you got to be very careful about selection. I've had so many kids that like D1, D1, D1. Okay, here you go. They go D1, and they either bounce back or they finish and it was miserable, and they always come back. I wish I listened. And their best times playing was at Phoenix College, and
Well,
that's not D1, not even close.
yeah,
So
but that's the thing too. Yeah, I say D1 because I just think he's got that mentality. He wants to be a pro. That my oldest and my twins say they do, but we'll see in time. But if you want to do that, that's okay. I don't think he's good enough to sign now at 16, 17. But if he's with the right coach who continues to help him love the game, right, and that doesn't drive him like crazy, which some of these programs do, and they take full advantage of you, without looking out for you as a human being, like that to walk that balance is no different than our lives. You want to go to a high paying job, you say you do, where you're like, yeah, I want to make six figures. Okay, well, you're working 70 hours a week. You ready for that? Like, that's the balance you have to find, right? And of course, there are jobs out there that are six figures, so you don't have to do that. But then, it's quality of life, and to find that balance frequently is not only the university but the coach and how he or she manages those players. Because I've seen the same. They go away and they play for these coaches who are driving them into the ground because they need to win games.
right.
Everybody knows you need to win games, dummy. You don't have to be a jagmo to your players to do that. So yeah, and when they recruit you, they're all nice,
Yep.
right? And promising you the world. But that's why you got to know backstories. I know enough people that know people that I will find those backstories about those folks, and I already have some in mind. But yeah, so anyway.
Yeah. Well, good luck on the search. I'm sure you'll do a great job. But yeah, I've definitely, and it's same for me with club soccer. Everyone's like, what club should I join? You join the club that has the coach you need. Never a club, ever.
We talked about that a little bit this weekend, you and I, where that the coach is everything, and it doesn't. You think you want to go to a pro club and play for their youth club? Why? If they got a garbage coach, would you send your son to a bad or daughter to a school that was a great school but the teacher was garbage? In a million years, you would not. You would not. Yeah, for sure.
Well, we're gonna wrap it up. I got COVID online schooling. I'm sure I have to give up my computer right now. So, but I appreciate you coming on the show and giving us your time and energy. We wish you the best of luck in all your pursuits, and hopefully you'll be in Japan and everything's good to go. And you and I will go get some sake. You'll drink it. I'll watch, and we'll have some fun. Hopefully Tom Byer will take us out, and we'll enjoy the wonderful world of Tokyo.
Sounds good.
Is the
Great
goal.
city.
So this is Coach Cameron with Dr. Lee Hancock wrapping up episode 21. See you,
Bye-bye.
Lee.